An eclectic cast of characters. You've got Sarah Morgan, the ex-soldier and adventurer, now Constellation's leader. Mateo, the theologian who believes that there's definitely something else out there. Noel, the gifted scientist and Sarah Morgan's protege. And Walter, a very successful businessman in the settled...
All right. Well, I didn't know if I was going to be able to be here for the Starfield Direct broadcast because I had other things going on today. But I'm back from those things, and it did start about 15 minutes ago. But let's see what else we can get into and how much more of it we can enjoy. All right, enough about that. Let's get back to Starfield Direct.
We'll embark on. The Settled Systems is home to all kinds of different stories, people, and adventures for you to uncover.
The United Colonies is where you'll find New Atlantis, the first major human settlement in space. The people who live here value law, discipline, and the legacy of humanity. They consider themselves the true children of Earth.
You ever think of joining up with the Vanguard? Help the United Colonies, even get your UC citizenship?
New Atlantis isn't the only city within the United Colonies. The city of Cydonia on Mars to this day serves as the largest mining facility for the United Colonies. Beyond the United Colonies' reach, you might find yourself in a much more wild and independent coalition of star systems. This is Freestar Collective Space.
Space Cowboy.
The capital of the Freestar Collective is Aquila City.
The Stone Root Inn is an Aquila City fixture.
A ranger relies on judgment and intuition to do what's best for the people.
Neon started out as a fishing platform, but is now known throughout the Settled Systems as a pleasure city, where almost anything goes.
If you've got morality issues, this definitely isn't the job for you.
Reunion is hiring the best and brightest of today for our future tomorrow.
What was that?
Everyone has been chewed up and ground up by Neon. Try not to get yourself killed, all right?
Outside the bounds of civilized space, there are still plenty of unclaimed systems to explore, but these areas are also home to the most hostile factions in the galaxy.
The great serpent hungers. All heathens shall be made dust in time.
A new face? Is this the face of a brave runner here to challenge the Red Mile?
They think the galaxy is theirs. They are wrong. It belongs to the Crimson Fleet. It always has.
In Starfield, we're pushing our cities and settlements further than we ever have before. It's all there, waiting for you. A slice of humanity's future.
So, ready to get out there?
Throughout the galaxy, there are so many things to see and stories to experience. But the most important story is the one that you tell. I'm the type of person who spends hours in character creation, and I think people are going to be really excited when they see all of the improvements we've made.
One of the biggest overhauls was done through our character generation system. We scanned a wide range of faces from different age groups and ethnicities. And by mixing and matching all that data, we were able to create highly detailed and diverse characters.
We use that exact system to create all of the characters and NPCs you're going to see in the game. So any character you see almost always is a character you could make yourself.
So they're based on real faces? It's interesting. I didn't realize that.
Hey, come on. Come on. Okay, take it easy. You were out cold. No physical damage. Mentally, the jury's still out. You know who you are? New recruit for Argos Extractors? Ring any bells? Any of this look familiar?
Oh, man.
You start your character creation journey as though you're cycling through employee records. You'll pick from a lineup of 40 presets, and that'll be your starting point. Your journey from there can be as detailed or as quick as you want it to be. This new system has more to offer than ever before.
It's also the simplest character generation system we've ever had. We let the player get as close as possible to make whatever they want. With the various facial morphs you can blend together, the dermesthetic and makeup, blemishes, scars, piercings, teeth settings. It's a lot, but I think it's the most fun to use.
He's like, yeah, it's a lot.
Character creation is more than just how you look. This is also where you start to decide who you want to be. That's where backgrounds come in. Backgrounds give you a bit of backstory and start you out with 3 basic skills.
From chef to Dusty. You know, the crew still has a betting pool about which restaurant critic you must have crossed to wind up here.
What's great about backgrounds is you never know when yours is going to come in handy. You could be in the middle of a fancy restaurant talking to some guy, and suddenly you learn he needs a beast hunter to help track down a monster.
Fine. I probably should stick to professionals anyway, given what happened the last time.
We're also giving you the option to customize your build even further by letting you pick up to 3 traits. Traits are completely optional, and they come with their own advantages and disadvantages. You could choose to meet your biggest fan.
No!
Is it really?
Oh, really?
You?
He'll join your crew, and he'll give you gifts if you're willing to put up with his constant commentary.
I can't believe I get to stand near you, breathing the
Oh
same air.
my God.
I've got to have every molecule.
My favorite
Wow,
trait
I mean,
is
talk
gift
about a
sets.
Mass Effect
you have
reference.
to pay some credits to support your parents, but they're very sweet, and it's really fun to go visit them.
Honey, we got ourselves a visitor.
Oh my God!
I came across some hostile zealots in space, but because I had chosen a trait that made me the same religion as them, I was able to get by without any issues.
There's another great one that gives you a damage buff when your health is low, but mercenaries will randomly show up and try to kill you. No matter what you choose, there will be plenty of ways for you to tell your story. And if you want to remove a trait, there are ways to do that too.
What a view! It's a feast for the eyes. Off we go to another adventure.
We'll let you discover
Who
that
is
on
that
your
guy?
own.
Oh, everyone says it's an Oblivion reference. Oh, I think I remember memes from that time about the adoring fan. It made me think of Mass Effect. You know, that guy that was following you around the entire game from game to game?
Once you've built the perfect character, that's when your journey can really begin. We took what we loved about skills and perks from our previous games and put them together to create an all-new skill system. Each time you level up, you get a skill point, which can be used to unlock or rank up skills. Ranks are unlocked by completing challenges associated with that skill.
Yeah, Conrad Werner.
Challenges become increasingly difficult as you work your way to higher ranks. With
They
our
look like
5
patches.
different
That's
skill trees
great.
and 4 ranks per skill, there's a lot to choose from.
I like the Xenosociology skill because it lets you mind control aliens.
Boost pack out of the gate. I'm boost packing everywhere.
Yeah, I think I'll do that too. Always about maneuverability.
I like maxing out my physical tree so I can get neuro strikes and just punch my way through combat.
Whoa!
That one's a lot of fun.
Invest in the skills that suit your playstyle.
I'm very much a stealth player. So, I'm out there pickpocketing everyone. My favorite part about being stealthy is slowly creeping through vents like you're in a movie, and then jumping out and springing on people.
Whenever possible, I like to talk my way through situations.
This area's off limits. Fine, I'll issue you an access card.
I'm more of a run and gun player. I like doing the death from above thing where I boost pack over guys and I throw
There you go.
landmines at them.
I like this guy. This guy knows where it's at.
I like blowing stuff up.
Oh, nice. Close the door on him. Ooh. Oh, I love the look of this game.
Exploration is a key aspect of all our games.
In Starfield, there are full star systems with new life, resources, and adventures. Our team worked hard to strike a balance between fun and realism. We studied data from NASA and a multitude of other sources to help us make the world feel believable. From the way we approached planetary atmospheres to the way we placed biomes based on the planet's distance from the sun. Cool. Once we had created a grounded world, we could start looking at all the things that make that world fun. When you leave a planet and head into space, you'll be navigating asteroid fields, having chance meetings with interesting strangers, dogfighting in space, and exploring derelict ships.
That's what I'm gonna do. The entire game. Just explore ships. Forget the planets.
It's all out there. Ultimately, it's about rewarding your curiosity, because whether it's on the surface of a planet, the alleys of a city, or the vastness of space, you never know what you'll find.
Oh, cool.
Space exploration is possible thanks to your ship. Your ship is almost like having another character.
I'm gonna spend so many hours building my ship.
All your own. I think you'll be blown away by the amount of stuff you can do. You can buy a ship.
I'm sure you can find something you like.
Customize and upgrade that ship. And hire
Sick.
a crew to keep it up and running. And it all starts in spaceports. Every spaceport has a ship technician where you can purchase, sell, and modify ships.
Anything I can help you with?
Maybe you start off with a speedy fighter that's perfect for bounty hunting. Then you might round out your ship roster with a hulking space freighter to run cargo missions.
Yes.
Or even do a little smuggling.
That's what I want.
For now, though, we're going to take our starting ship, the Frontier, and make some changes. You can customize and upgrade everything you see here.
Damn.
And you have two ways to do that. You can quickly upgrade individual systems like your weapons or shields, or you can deep dive and enter the shipbuilder mode. Here you can change anything, from the systems to the look and layout. Adding a new habitat module can give you more room for crew. Adding cowling can change your ship's overall silhouette. An improved grav drive allows for longer distance space jumps. You can even fully customize your paint job to get the exact look you want. The parts you choose to build with don't just affect your ship's stats. They'll also affect what you can do inside your ship. You can have modules for crafting, or for storing and displaying your weapons. Starfield's in-game ship manufacturers bring their own look and feel to every piece of your ship. From living quarters to cargo holds, mess halls, and control rooms. Our modified Frontier is a practical ship, but with a little creativity, your ship can look like almost anything you want.
It's a bit odd, but one of my favorite ways of customizing ships is I make them look like animals.
That is a bit odd.
Platypus, as I called it. Where it had a giant tail to it.
That's adorable. Okay. I would never do that, but...
Spiders, we've done mechs.
Wow.
So it's really whatever your imagination is.
And while you can build your home among the stars the way you want to, you're probably not the only person who will call your ship home.
Ready to lift off when you are, Captain.
Engines ready.
The Frontier is fueled and ready, Captain.
Some of the members of Constellation can join you on your journey. These companions can serve on your crew, and they'll always be there when you travel.
We'll be traveling together until we either find an artifact or this lead runs dry.
Have I heard that voice before?
Each companion comes with their own valuable skills for your ships and outposts, as well as unique quest lines. Eventually, some friendships might blossom into romance.
I don't know that I've ever really loved anyone
Except you.
And if you're looking for a little extra help on your ship, you can always hire additional crew at spaceports.
Got any room on your ship for someone like me?
You'll also meet potential crew members out in the world.
Still think there might be a spot for me on your ship? I gotta get off this rock.
Assign crew to your ship or outposts, and their unique skills will affect how they run. And just like companions, most crew members can lend a hand in the field. Take Bosco, for instance.
Bosco!
He's designed around the core basics of a NASA machine.
Please avoid getting shot.
Does he serve
You
beer?
might die.
I still wanted to give it almost a humanoid personality, so I elongated the limbs. This tends to make him feel more human-like and give him a little personality.
It is a shame exploration requires so much bloodshed.
Okay, but do we get Fisto?
Using the shipbuilding tools and crew selection features in Starfield, you'll be able to build and captain the ship of your dreams. And now, let's take to the sky.
It's beautiful. That's amazing. Just looks so good. I love that
We're
cockpit.
putting you in the cockpit of your very own spaceship and telling you that you can do pretty much anything. And that is really cool for us as developers. Spaceflight should be exciting and dangerous, and you should feel like you're in complete control every step of the way. We've extended that sense of control to ship combat. It's not about just hitting your triggers to fire your weapons. It's a complex dance between your piloting skills and our power allocation system. Boosting power to your engines will make your ship faster. Powering up the ground dries will shorten the amount of time it takes before you can make a jump.
Why does this remind me of the end boss fight for Mothership Zeta?
And moving your power to your weapons and shields means you're ready for a fight.
Huh.
You should always be on your toes because you're not alone out there.
It's intimidating, but really cool.
Unlocking the targeting control system skill will allow you to zero in on specific subsystems of the ship you target.
Oh, wow, that's great.
After destroying an enemy ship, you can loot the remains from your cockpit. You can always turn any ship that engages you into scrap. But you can also take a more personal approach by docking with the enemy vessel and boarding their ship.
That is so cool. And then can you turn it to scrap?
Once you've taken control of an enemy ship, it's yours. Add it to your fleet and retrieve it at any spaceport. But space is way more than fighting for your life. Just like when you're planetside, there are plenty of sights to see and stops to make on the way to your next adventure. Like these massive star yards. Walk the halls, talk to the crew, maybe get talked into buying a whole new ship.
A civilian in my star yard. Let's see about getting you a proper ship, one worthy of you.
Something on your
Maybe
face.
you'll dock with a gigantic battleship, like the UC Vigilance. Or rub elbows with the galaxy's wealthy elite on a cruise ship fit for the stars.
Why does this look familiar?
There are plenty of personal encounters to be had as well. You can hail any ship you come across to trade, swap info, or maybe even commit an act of piracy.
Let's do this.
When I'm playing, I generally go crazy. I definitely go like the more piracy routes. I want to take over ships. I'm going to board ships. I'm like, this is now mine. I steal all these sandwiches and put them you know, in my cargo hold that I have specifically for sandwiches. I don't want to play the hero, but I want to go out and just start taking things from people.
She's the
as quickly as
sandwich
possible.
raider.
Some strangers might be looking for a little human connection in the darkness of space.
Hello, stranger. I just finished cooking up some food. If you want to come on over, just pop on by.
Some of the best moments are the ones you discover on your own. The thing I love most about Starfield is that it is a Bethesda game through and through. It's really about going to strange new places, meeting interesting people, and getting sidetracked on zany adventures.
Oh, God.
Then realizing 2 hours later that you're involved in a completely new story.
You're human. We thought we were the only ones to leave Earth.
That DNA is so present here. It's in our random encounters, it's in our handcrafted quests.
It'll take me years to complete
And
this
it
game.
feels so cool to play it and
Years.
just make your own path in this universe. There are over 1,000 planets out there, just waiting for you to visit. We want you to feel like explorers, breaking ground on new planets, exploring every inch of a mostly untouched galaxy.
How much of each planet can we
hopeful.
explore?
We want you to feel this sense of awe and wonder, and sometimes a little fear. We're giving you a massive playground and a ton of toys, and just setting you free.
Are they procedurally generated? I mean, they have to be. 1,000 planets? They have to be procedurally generated. That makes me wonder exactly how much of each planet we can explore.
We've shown you so much stuff, but we thought we'd just take a little break and show you something a little bit different. You know, we put so much detail into our game worlds, and we love the opportunity to bring that into the real world with our collector's editions. And for this game, we've done a watch. It is the Constellation Explorer's Watch. This is the watch that you actually get in the game that acts as part of your HUD, where it's the compass and then environmental information. It connects to your phone to give you notifications and other information. And we've also designed this really cool case that it comes with, Istvan.
Yeah, we really took as much care and designed this case as we did the watch. Our attention to detail in the game totally translates to this. Inspired by the cases that the astronauts used during the Apollo era to bring back samples from the moon. It's got an intricate locking mechanism, authentic, heavy, comes with a Constellation patch, NATO strap, and the overall functionality and believability of this as something that would exist in the world, in the Starfield universe.
Oh, and hey, take this. You'll find it very useful out there, and it even tells the time.
Well, we've got a
have
Pip-Boy.
something else. Now that we're part of Xbox, we get to work with the amazing people on the Xbox hardware team, and together we have created this custom limited edition Starfield controller. It's awesome. It is now, you know, our favorite controller.
We love this because it's inspired by the actual controls of your spaceship. And not only that, we've created the first ever custom headset with Xbox. And this is a perfect pairing with that controller.
I love it when Bethesda does hardware. I mean, I don't play the Xbox. I'll never get any of this. But I love it when they do hardware. It looks great. Clell Big says you can use Xbox controllers on PC, Ox. I know, but why ever would I?
In
I don't
every
do
one of our
controllers.
games, we always put so much care into all those little details that breathe life into our worlds. But Starfield isn't just a Bethesda Game Studios world, it's a Bethesda Game Studios galaxy. So why go this big with Starfield?
Uh-oh.
Because we want to give you freedom on a galactic level. The freedom to experience both the exciting planets and the quiet ones.
Just don't say multiplayer.
Scanning a planet before you land is a great way to get a sneak peek at the available resources you can use for crafting, building, and customizing.
I think what's cool about this whole system that we generate the planet itself as a procedural content, but
Procedural
the
generated,
handcrafted
okay.
content itself comes as the player explore.
Our system builds a planet as the player approaches it. We stitch together a block of terrain. After that, we have the system that adds interesting locations for the player to explore, creatures to encounter, ore and plants to pick up. It allows us to add that touch of environmental storytelling that Bethesda is known for.
Aggressive creatures have been disrupting our experiments. Their habitat isn't far from here. If you could take care of them for us, we would be in your debt.
So even if your friends were to visit the same planet that you had, you would have a different story to tell.
Ooh. Oh! That was brutal! Explosive decompression. Oh, the jetpack is great. I'm really gonna enjoy combat. I can tell that already.
It's completely up to you how you want to interact with each planet. Whether you want to explore and see what you can find, harvest resources and be on your way, or simply take in the views. With the help of your scanner, you'll chart the uncharted and discover exotic wildlife.
If you have the skills, you can even figure out that certain creatures and plants, you can build an outpost and produce resources from those plants and animals. You can get experience and rewards for fully surveying planets and fully surveying a whole system.
When we were concepting these creatures, we really wanted to think of them as natural to the environment. We didn't want alien monsters. We wanted native wildlife. Something you've never seen before.
Nice. When it comes to our exteriors, when the sun moves, all that light is calculated in real time through the atmosphere. Our biggest goal for lighting with Starfield was to make the game feel more filmic, to use lighting and color to really make it feel more cinematic.
Wow.
After some exploring, you can find a spot to set up a base camp. Outposts can be built almost anywhere on any planet. And the habitat modules come in all shapes and sizes, filling all different purposes. You can even live in them. Assign crew and companions to work at your outposts for added bonuses and set up extractors to harvest resources while you're away.
Something cool we have this time is we have a new fly cam where you can toggle between on-foot building, or you can now use a top-down isometric camera, which helps plan out larger parts of the outpost and facing those larger habs. So that way you can really plan your structures and what the overall feel of your outpost is.
What a quality of life
improvement. And then when you're on
improvement.
your feet, you can really decorate and fine-tune things much easier.
That's wonderful. So glad for that. I'm gonna get lost in the camp building system, in the outpost. Sorry, building system now. When am I gonna find time to make content? I'm just gonna be building ships
Add
and
crafting
outposts.
and research stations in your outposts to utilize any resources you find or already have.
Mod your weapons to adapt them to your playstyle. Different weapon sights and scopes, larger magazines, a selection of grips and barrels, different ammunition like explosive rounds.
Oh yeah, spray and
All
pray.
you stealth players out there will surely need a suppressor. You can also choose to go hands-on with melee weapons.
I think it's always a delicate balance between like what's realistic, what's sim, and what's Hollywood. And I think we sort of err on the side of like, what's fun for the player.
With Starfield, we've completely overhauled our combat. It's more dynamic, the animations are more fluid. It just feels great.
We probably have more mods and more weapons in this game than, I want to say, any other game we've done before. There's a lot of variety.
Upgraded gear is just one of the many factors to pay attention to when engaging in combat. You may need to switch things up based on your environment.
Sniper rifle.
Gravity is different for each planet, and
That's
boost
what I
packs
want.
are excellent for getting around. And for giving you an edge in combat. Sometimes you'll even feel like you're flying.
Do
Zero
enemies
gravity
have boost
environments
packs?
pose a different challenge. Firing a ballistic weapon in zero-G will actually push you backwards.
Cool.
Energy weapons, on the other hand, offer a more stable shooting experience.
We also have mag weapons. These are high-powered electromagnetic induction ballistic arrays. Each barrel has its own targeting laser and can dish out some serious damage.
Oh my god. Wow.
Whether you want to get up close and personal with your own two fists, or you like more compact weapons like pistols and submachine guns, or maybe you prefer something bigger.
Yes, please. Give me a tactical mini nuke. That's what I want to see.
Starfield's got you covered.
I gotta be careful. I'm starting to fall in love with this. Ooh. Oh, they didn't show any gore there. They held off on that. Oh my god, I'm gonna love combat. It just looks so fluid and good. What? No, is that magic? No, not magic. What was
Thanks
that?
again for being with us today. We are just so grateful that you've taken the time and spent it here. I know there was probably a lot to take in. There's a lot to the game, even more than we could show here. You know, as we play it, we're always sharing these unique and special moments that only a game like this can bring. When I think about what makes it special, it really is the people here. This game is a reflection of the incredible and passionate team that made it. All of them putting something special of themselves into it. So let's hear some of their favorite moments.
I love the way that our final combination of all the new tech has come together to create some of the most beautiful sunsets and sunrises we've ever had in any of our games.
I love the creatures, the exploration, every biome is different. The word that comes to mind is vast.
I like to use our photo mode to take rock star photos.
I just love that constant feel of discovery and, wow, I can't believe that there's more here.
I'm most excited about our Outpost building systems.
My favorite part is every time you step out on a planet, it's a unique experience.
You spend all this
I'm
time
getting
building your
overwhelmed.
ship, and you see it on the landing pad. These things are gigantic. It's the kind of thing that you just can't get anywhere else.
There's something about seeing a tower over in the distance and going, I know the gravity's low here. I think I can make that jump.
My favorite part is biomes, spaceships, audio design, planets, the day-night cycle.
Those details matter to me.
Diplomacy, exploration, freedom, the ending.
Bethesda, obviously.
I love the robot so much.
The incredible amount of worlds we created.
Sniper rifles, come on.
Lever action, rocket launcher.
Brain sprout.
Lever action rocket launcher.
I love, but some people might find creepy. I don't know. I know it's right, Ben.
Awesome.
The thing that I enjoy most
My
about
son
the
is gonna
game
dig this, too.
is the freedom to be who you want to be, do what you want to do. It's what you've come to expect from a Bethesda title, but on a much bigger scale.
On behalf of all of us, we can't wait for you to play Starfield and make your own special moments.
Let's go. Good luck, Constellation. You are go for launch.
All right, Bethesda. All right. 9/6/23. Dear God, I've only got a couple of months to prepare. Oh no. 9/6/23. Oh, what am I gonna do? I gotta wrap up my Fallout 4 lore series. How am I gotta work fast if I'm gonna get that done before this. Holy cow. September 6th? July, August. I've only got a couple of months. How am I gonna do that? I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. What's this? All right, is this still part of the Starfield Direct, or is this back to Xbox? Gad says, Oxhorn, wonder if they'll have a Starfield equivalent of Preston Garvey. An Outpost needs your help. I mean, he's become such a meme now that they've got to have a reference. Joe5 says, incoming Starfield lore videos. That's the plan, really. Like, I'm probably an idiot for doing this, but I have architected my entire content schedule for this year under the presumption that I'm going to be doing Starfield lore videos. And after everything I've seen, I still have that hope. And I just hope that it all works well. Man of Warp says, Ox will craft Thump Thump. Oh yeah, give me a way to make a Thump Thump. I'll take it. Right, so, guys, you just watched the exact same thing that I watched. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. But I'll just share briefly some of my thoughts. What I love most about what we just saw was the style in the theme for the game. And I know that I went live a little bit late. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to go live at all today because I had prior commitments, but I rushed home as fast as I could, and I got here just as it began, and I went live as soon as possible. And so I hope you guys enjoyed what you were able to see, and I'm grateful for all of you being here. But at the very beginning of the broadcast, they talked a lot about the style, and I think I missed that part, but I did hear it. And they were deeply inspired. They wanted what they're calling, I think they were calling it a NASA punk, where, you know, it's not Atom Punk, and it's not Cyberpunk, and it's not like a slick, sleek, modern sci-fi or futuristic sci-fi like Mass Effect. It's grounded in reality. It's grounded in art and history that's true to our world, but projected into a more slick future, right? So all of the rockets and the technology and the gear, right? It's all inspired by actual gear that was created by NASA and other spacefaring societies to produce something that looks like it's grounded in reality. And I love that. I love the fact that it doesn't look like space magic. Right? And that's what I didn't want this to be. I didn't want this to be a game about space magic. If you want space magic, that's fine. There's no shame in that. All right, I think we're done with that. So we're going to knock that out. If people want space magic, that's fine. I'm not gonna hate on you for that. But there's things like Star Wars. If you like space magic, go play Star Wars. I'm playing a Star Wars game right now. I'm not completely opposed to space magic, but I don't really know if I can get into a universe, really, if there's a ton of space magic. And it's been that way with every kind of Bethesda game that I've played. I love the Fallout franchise. The Lovecraftian side of things is probably my least favorite part of it. It's okay, and I'm kind of glad they never really fully explain it and turn it into this huge part of the game, because it's just this sort of otherworldly, non-Atom Punk, non-Fallout feeling kind of thing that they kind of threw in there. The aliens are okay, and, I understand that during the Cold War, it was the height of, the alien paranoia at Area 51, so there's definitely some sort of reason to have these retro-looking aliens in the Fallout universe, but alien technology is almost like magic, and I didn't really like, having to deal with aliens in the Fallout universe. And we've already talked about, why I haven't truly gotten into Skyrim and the Elder Scrolls series. Just, magic doesn't interest me all that much. So what I really hoped to see in this is that it was grounded in some sort of reality, but that they took the creative license to, develop on that and elaborate on that. And it looks like they have done that. The cockpit looks stunning. All of the fact that they worked on the boxes and the suit and the materials, and it's all grounded in actual materials that would be used to go to space looks great. So this whole NASA punk vibe that they're going for has absolutely thrilled me. I can get into a universe like that. I totally can. That thing at the very end where he kind of walked in and did his force wave thing and people froze, I'm a little concerned about that. That looks an awful lot like space magic to me. Now, maybe they're going to say, they explain it away by talking about gravity or electromagnetism, or maybe there's some sort of scientific thing behind it. It's probably not that big a deal, and I'm probably overreacting, but that made me a little nervous. I just hope they don't go into the whole space magic side of things. All right, I've got so much more to say, but let me get to some of your comments here. Steel 101 says, to infinity and beyond. I am so excited. I'm getting pretty thrilled myself. Ritesh Banasod says, I don't know who you are, Star Citizen, but your timing's impeccable. Another planet has sent word that they need our help. Here, I'll mark it on your radar. I hope they've got something like that in the game. Matt Rowland says, I'm cautiously optimistic, but I prefer a great story before everything we saw here today. If the story isn't there, I'll be disappointed. And I'm right with you there, Matt. You all know how much I love a story, and if a story is bad, it completely ruins it for me, even if everything else is great. But they're limited on how much story they can share with us, and they did share with us a little bit of the story at the very beginning, and I think I went live while they were in the middle of talking about that, but clearly they can't divulge the entire story during a broadcast like this. So it's the sort of thing where we either have to wait until the game gets out to understand the story, or we wait until content producers dive through the game and tell us about it before we can rest assured that it has a really good story. Man of Warb says, I'm guessing you can't walk around an entire planet. They could have given us a rover, but that would have ripped off of the Mako from Mass Effect. I mean, maybe, but if you're going to explore a planet, you have to have a terrain vehicle. And the Mako is just a terrain vehicle for off-world exploring. So the concept of an off-world exploring vehicle is not exclusive to Mass Effect. And if they have one like that, it's not necessarily a ripoff of Mass Effect. But yeah, I mean, I think they've actually taken great pains to make their game distinct from other games in this particular genre. It doesn't look like Mass Effect. The combat isn't like Mass Effect, and we can only hope that the story is going to be very different as well, and I think it will be. No Name says, I'm just a tad skeptical. I'm not too trusting of developers, so I'm going to give it time until I get it. You've got the perfect attitude and philosophy for this. You know what? I love getting passionate about games like this. Seeing trailers like this gets you so excited, but that amount of restraint that you have just exercised is very, very wise. Because how many times have we been disappointed by developers in game studios this year, last year, 3 years ago? I mean, it's been so frequent to the point where it's almost expected that our disappointment should just almost be expected at this point. Now, I will say that when No Man's Sky did their big media press tour, they didn't actually show us gameplay. They created a big highly rendered trailer. And it was basically a conceptualized trailer for what they wanted the game to be. But the game that they actually delivered wasn't that. And we didn't know that beforehand because we didn't actually get any gameplay. What we just saw would have been very difficult to fake unless they built it. It's not like they created this, 30-minute long cinematic to get us pumped up for the game. No, they did 30, how long have I been live? 45 minutes. They did 45 to 50 minutes of showing off gameplay, combat, world generation, a variety of different environments, character creation. Like what we saw wasn't, and now clearly, eyes went over every detail of what they released. They didn't want to release too much, and they wanted to make sure that what they released in this video impressed us. So obviously there was some oversight that went into this video. We saw the best of their their work. We really did. But we also saw something that would have been very hard for them to fake in post, to simulate this really cool crafting system and this really cool combat experience that hadn't actually been made. So on one hand, I think you're absolutely right. We need to be skeptical going into this thing. We shouldn't get our hopes up too high. And definitely, if we're worried about it, about pre-orders, definitely wait until the reviews come out and after we've got, day one patches and all of that before we sink our money into it as a form of investment. On the other hand, I think there are plenty of reasons for us to be excited for Starfield to the point where I don't even know if I want to use the word trust, but I just think that it would be very difficult for them to fake everything that they put in this. So I'm pretty optimistic about this. Okay, let's see. And your comments are flying off the screen. Gat says, I'm so glad it doesn't appear to be multiplayer. Also, if this is their new engine and it works, then Fallout 5 could be amazing. Yeah, let me see. My initial impressions. So when I first started this broadcast, the first thing that went into my mind when I looked at the characters was they were not as polished as I was expecting. And I don't know if it's just because I've been playing a lot of modern games recently. So I've kind of ruined it for myself. I played video games in the early thousands. And I think the last game I played was World of Warcraft. And then I took a 10-year break to work on my career. I started a family, I worked on a career, I essentially put gaming to the side. I didn't start gaming again until Fallout 4 came out. And so my experience was basically really old games, nothing, Fallout 4. So I felt like Fallout 4 was amazing when I started playing it in every way because compared to what I had played in the past, a decade ago, it was, and it looked amazing. And that's kind of where my philosophy was when Fallout 76 came out, because I basically played Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas exclusively until Fallout 76 came out. When 76 came out, the graphics didn't bother me. The characters didn't bother me. It all looked kind of fine. Since then, I have played a lot of games because I started live streaming after Fallout 76 came out, and I've become a little bit more aware of how sophisticated games can be. So now that the Starfield trailer has come out, really my only criticism of what we've seen is the faces kind of look a little clunky compared to some of the things that we've seen. And just my opinion, especially facial hair still looks like it's sort of, bolted on, embedded into the face. The shadows looked a little weird. But that said, when it comes to actually how the character moves, that looked pretty fine. I noted that when Outer Worlds came out, one of my concerns was how the characters moved because they kind of felt like gravity didn't affect them correctly. And it turned out that that's the way it was. They did kind of lumber around and they moved too quickly to the side. It didn't really fit too well. But from what we've seen here, the way characters move, it's realistic. And I think it really helps with the booster pack that they've got. Really, so that said, from what I've seen, that's really my only criticism. The environments all look beautiful. The spaceships and the technology are just top notch. And Bethesda always does really good when it comes to hardware in their video games. All of the things they manufacture just look amazing, from Pip-Boys to mini nukes to Fat Mans to power armor. All of that it's just beautiful. And in Starfield, all of their hardware just looks amazing, and that's what I'm really excited to explore. I can't wait to explore space stations and ruined spaceships and abandoned facilities. That's what I'm into. That's what I'm digging. When it comes to environments on planets, I'm excited to explore those as well. We learned that they are procedurally generated, and that is kind of unavoidable. For the scale of what they put out for us today, 1,000 different planets to explore, there's no way each one of those planets could be handcrafted. So it's understandable that they're procedurally generated. But one of the things that gives me a lot of hope is that it seems that the procedural generation is pocketed with moments of handcrafted detail. So as you're exploring what is essentially a blank world until you land on it, procedurally generated content is created, but within that, a handcrafted piece will be plunked down. And some handcrafted environmental storytelling will be plunked down. And then that stays there, from what I gathered from what we just saw. And if that's the case, then there's going to be plenty of storytelling that actually has been created by a human mind that is going to be interesting to explore and will be fun to produce content about. My concern as a content producer is if all of this handcrafted content is procedurally generated, then it's going to be very difficult for me, as somebody who does videos about lore, to say, yes, if you go to the X planet in the Y system, you find this particular encounter where you can learn the following. Instead, I'd have to say something like, if you're lucky and you happen to be exploring this system, you might, after an extended period of time of walking around from planet to planet, find this random handcrafted storyline encounter. So that produces challenges for me as a content producer. That's not a criticism of Bethesda, because I don't necessarily think that that's a bad way to produce a game, especially if you want every single playthrough to be unique. So that's just something I'm going to have to deal with and come to terms with on my own. All right, let me get back to your comments. Then there was Chaos Stripe says, the world building reminds me of Minecraft, but on a bigger scale. Procedurally generated major features that trigger placements of smaller handcrafted structures, like a plains having a village in it. Yeah, that's kind of the vibe that I got too. That I walked away understanding it in much the same way that they've created all of these dungeons or exterior oases or whatever with stories and, holotapes and notes and characters and companions that you can recruit and all of that. But they've packaged those and put them into the procedurally generated system so that those can appear randomly on planets that we explore. Grievous Reborn says Xbox promise every single first-party game of theirs would have actual gameplay, not CGI trailers, and if they lied, they would have to hell to pay for it. Yeah, they would. I don't know if I don't think, I've been on this planet for 41 years, and I don't think I'm being too naive to say something that to the effect that Bethesda really wants to earn our trust. And I think that they're genuine when they're not just in it for the money. Of course they are in it for the money. It's a business, and you can't make a business without money. They are making the game to make a profit. That is the entire point of the game being made. And yet at the same time, they're not just in it for the money. I do think that there are plenty of people on that team that are just passionate about making games and want to make the best game they can. And you know what? I don't want to become too much of a cynic. I still have faith in people. I still think there are plenty of wonderful people out there that are genuine. And from my interactions with people at Bethesda, which has been limited, everyone I've met and that I've actually talked to has just been kind and genuine and gracious and have not given me reasons to doubt their sincerity. And I get that vibe with the entire Bethesda team, and it clearly comes across when there's cinematics. That said, there have been plenty of failures. It comes across in their videos is what I meant. There have been plenty of failures, and so we still have to approach every single game purchase like this with a degree of skepticism. I still don't support pre-orders for myself personally. I'm not going to pre-order this game. I'm not going to pre-order any game just because we've all been burned, right? We've all been burned. But I still think that they want to make a really good game. Julian Z says, Ox, so glad you could make it. I'm so excited. Please tell me you'll be taking 1.5 years to be a completionist and finish the game. I'm hyped for it. Can't wait. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, how long have I been doing Fallout? Since 2016? End of 2015, 2016. And I'm still making Fallout content. So yeah, the odds are pretty high that if this game is as good as we are all hoping, and if the story and the lore is as expansive as we're all hoping, and if the experiences are as unique from player to player, then I'll be producing content for Starfield for a very long time to come. We'll see. No promises. Like, I can't give you any promises with this. I kind of felt like that was going to be Fallout 76 for me. I was a little bit miffed during the big reveal of Fallout 76 when as soon as they mentioned multiplayer, that's when my heart sank a little bit. And the problem with multiplayer is that so many of these games depend on the fact that other players are there with you to produce the content. We don't need to make a lot of content. The content is the community. They'll log into the town and they'll start chatting with people. They'll form guilds and relationships. That's the content that they'll keep coming back for. And so, you know, we really don't need to worry about lots of DLCs all the time. I was worried about that. And then the reality of Fallout 76 was, you know, hit and miss for me. I talked a bit about this on my live stream. I really enjoyed Fallout 76's base story. I enjoyed all of the holotapes, exploring all of those unique locations, coming to grips with the story of what happened in Appalachia before the bombs dropped. And everything after the base story has disappointed me in some way, shape, or form, particularly Wastelanders at the Raider arc. I really enjoyed Steel Rain and Steel Dawn with a few exceptions. So, that Fallout 76 ended up not being the game that was that I wanted to produce content for years for, right? So I'm hoping that my hopes aren't dashed with Starfield, and that I will fall in love with the game, fall in love with the universe, and have a passion for producing content for this game for many, many years to come. Julian Z says, Ox, I also think they said they would be procedurally generated planets, but they would be handcrafted stuff sprinkled in the world. Yeah, I got that. That's what I heard as well. I think we all are on the same page there. Jibberwocky says, opposite for me is Steel Rain was a letdown, but liked the heist story for Wastelanders. Yeah, you know, that's fine. The heist... The Raiders were an interesting faction but if I had to choose between the Raiders and Foundation, which faction was more fun? The Raiders was way more fun. Foundation as a faction was boring, really. The one storyline element with the whole Foundation's plot that was interesting to me was learning more about Hornwright. Because his daughter was still alive, Daisy Hornwright, after all those years. Finding her as a ghoul, that was interesting. The whole Chinese sabotage base underground under White Springs all these years later was ridiculous. It was interesting being able to see what, you know, Chinese technology looked like and all of it, but it was ridiculous. I enjoyed the heist for the Raiders. That was fine. My problem with the Raiders is not necessarily the quests that we had with them. It was their entire premise that they're Raiders, but with a gold star. Like they're not the bad Raiders. They're Raiders, but they're the good Raiders because they love family. And we talked all about this last week or earlier this week. So I'm not going to go get into it again. But with Steel Dawn and Steel Rain, they clearly, if they weren't familiar with Brotherhood lore beforehand, because I understand that the people writing for the DLCs has, you know, come in and out over the years, they certainly became familiar with it after they began writing it, because the primary conflicts within the entire Brotherhood lore were addressed expertly in the whole Paladin Romani versus Shin power dynamic there. There were still little side things that were weird with the whole Marsha situation, but what they did with Paladin Romani and Shin was pretty good. I enjoyed that. Alt Grendel says, won't procedurally generated planets cause lore problems? It will. I have a bit of a concern there. And So I may not be able to produce content from the perspective of a planet, which is kind of what I was thinking. I was thinking of, one day as we're navigating through space, we stumble upon the Karplova planet. And upon landing on the plains of blah, 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 we find a dungeon and can blah, 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 blah. But instead of being able to do that, I'm probably just going to have to produce lore on a location by location. We can simply say, one day while exploring the universe, we stumble upon, and then it's a dungeon. And then we just talk about the content of that dungeon without any directions on how to actually get it to spawn in your world. That may be what I'll have to do. Kunk says, yeah, can't do it from locations, but have to do it from events. I'm going to have to. Death Proof says Planet Mavuludavlada confirmed. Yeah, well, we all love Planet Mavudavlada. Sendu says Kropaplapla. I mean, you can name these planets anything you want, guys. These are all great names. You guys, the creativity is off the charts. Some planets are probably hard-locked to prevent lore issues, says Chad Harger. Yeah, I bet you're right. I mean, we definitely... I think some planets are, because at the very beginning... Where's my lighter? At the very beginning, that talked about, from a lore perspective, there is this one human major city called New Atlantis or something. And yeah, there are definitely going to be cities that are handcrafted and are sort of lore-locked, where you go to the space station or you go to the city and you can find side quests that send you out into the galaxy. But as they said, there's lots of other side stories that you can get sidetracked with, which is what I tend to do in my playthroughs of Bethesda games. And those, I think, if they're going to be including them on the planets that you actually discover, you know, they'll be spread out and really hard to track down unless you just happen to get lucky in your game. Captain Obvious says, mess with the ox, you get the horns. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Love it. Weird Beard says, if we can return to Mars, the major mining hub, I wonder if we can revisit Earth or if something happened to it. I'm really interested in that too. Yeah, they said that Mars was going to be a mining planet. Basically, all of the ore and minerals necessary to build New Atlantis came from Mars. So it's going to be cool to see that. Presumably, we will be able to see Earth at least. Will we be able to land there? I don't know. What's the reason we all left Earth? I guess we'll find out as we play the game. Gat says, could it be, or it could be, that the planet itself is randomly generated, but there is always a planet at the same location in the galaxy, meaning it could still have the same lore, but just look different. True, but what if the handcrafted experiences that they created to be included in their procedural generation are not planet-specific? Like, I think we'll only really get an answer to this question once we get to the planet. If we get to a planet and when we find a cave and we go in the cave and we find a bunch of bodies and then we find some notes and they're talking about some ritual that happened on the planet or somebody escaping pirates that were circling a planet or whatever, then we'll realize that all of these encounters, even if we don't find them in the same location on the planet, are planet-specific. And if that's the case, then I could do an entire series on planet-specific encounters, which would be fun. But if many of these experiences are pooled into other planets, then it'll be difficult to organize them like that. I'll just have to do lore videos on unique experiences. Uncle Matt 2 says Fallout 76 is going to get Atlantic City. Is it really? Fascinating. Interesting. Thank you so much, Uncle Matt. Terry Williams says, wait for the mod that makes Mars a 40K Forge world. Of course it will. There will be plenty of mods, though. Interestingly, that's not something they talked a lot about during the broadcast today. And perhaps they learned their lesson from Fallout 76, because they did talk a lot about how modding would be allowed in Fallout 76 and embraced like in all of their games. It ended up not being the case. That like all these years later, and that's still not the case. So Mr. Rollfist says, does the protagonist talk? From everything we have seen, no. I didn't hear any talking coming from the protagonist during the broadcast. Galox says system-based lore, maybe. Yeah, I organize it by system. That's presuming that many of the handcrafted encounters are limited to just a system. I mean, what if some of the encounters are spread from system to system and it's just a random dice roll depending on which one you get wherever system you are? If that's the case, then I wouldn't be able to organize lore planet by planet or system by system. And the only way to know is to actually play the game. CSM HB Dog says, did anyone else catch the part where the lady on that outpost was shocked you're human in the showcase? So that was that part came out when they were talking about finding other people and other spaceships and other habitations out there as part of their random encounter system. So, for example, I don't think we need to walk away thinking that most of the humans out there think that humanity is dead, but instead we could think about, well, maybe they left Earth because there was some cataclysmic event happening and they've been locked away out in space for 100 years or something, and we're the first human they've ever found since, right? Psychedelic Punk says, hey Ox, the new Amnesia game is out called Amnesia the Bunker. Hoping it's on your list to play soon. Love watching ya play horror games. Thank you, Psychedelic Punk. I need to finish up Dead Space 2, but maybe I'll bring Amnesia the Bunker up there and tackle it when the time comes. 28 says, the protagonist will be silent, Oxhorn. It will not be voice acted. Okay. Yeah, I'm sort of mixed on that. I actually wasn't turned off by the voiced protagonist of Fallout 4. I understand that when Fallout 4 came out, a lot of the criticism surrounding Fallout 4 was about the dialogue system, about only having, 3 or 4 options in that little Mass Effect style dialogue wheel, and about how a voiced protagonist can somehow sometimes take away from your ability to role play. Like, what if you're role playing an old man with a raspy voice, or who had his larynx taken out from throat cancer or something? You can't do that with a voiced protagonist, right? But with that particular game, so much of the Soul Survivor's backstory was kind of set in stone and was outside of the realm of our ability to interact with it, and that's not unprecedented to happen in a first-person role-playing game. Obsidian did the exact same thing. The courier's history before we get our hands on the courier is set in stone. Who the courier is much more open to our own interpretation, but we know that the courier was a package delivery person before we got our hands on him, and that he wandered all over the continental United States during the course of his job. And some of those things we can't change. And Bethesda did many of the same things during Fallout 4. But they got a lot of pushback on that, I think. And so for this game, I'm getting the impression that really the character is up to us. Everything about the character, there's no history or story about that character told before we get our hands on him. So yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be really cool. Carol Ann says they should give an option to turn the voice and dialogue off. I want a voice. I have to say that I kind of want a voice as well. I think both because without a voice, I'm going to have to actually read it on camera when I do my live streams of it, and also because some of the funniest parts of Fallout 4 are the ways the voice actors for Nate and Nora say their lines, and you can actually learn a lot about the intention of the line, how it was written, based on how the voice actor says it. So I am a little sad that we don't get that, but it's a minor thing. It's a minor thing for me. So that's really interesting about Atlantic City, Uncle Matt. I missed that, if they talked about that during the broadcast today. I'll have to look up the details on that later. Nick93 says, 16 times the detail, lol. Todd is a joke. You know, I don't know if they actually said 16 times the detail in this broadcast. I think they probably learned their lesson from the big press event for Fallout 76. If you're going to talk about how much more detailed it is, don't give it a number. Just say, oh yeah, it's detailed. It's super, super detailed. Don't be like 16 times the detail. I think they probably learned their lesson on that. Caleb Campbell says that they did say the word we're looking for is vast. They did. That wasn't Todd. That was another developer. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether it or not it is vast. 1,000 planets is pretty vast. If there really are 1,000 different planets that we can explore, each with, you know, unique experiences on them, then I'd be happy to say that that's definitely vast. If it turns out that that's not true and we're not getting what's being advertised, then yeah, that will definitely be something they'll have to live down later. Grievous Reborn says Phantom Liberty for Cyberpunk got a release date. Did it really? Cool. September 26th, says Canuck82. All right. Well, I might be busy at that point. Sledge says, no, not vast. VATS. They didn't really cover, well, you know, they didn't talk about a VATS type system in the combat, did they? So it'll be interesting to see if it's just all regular combat or if they've got a time slowdown crutch like VATS for this game as well. Wasteland Wanderer says, Hiox, hopefully no wolves in Starfield, lol. Yeah, hopefully no wolves. Hopefully no horses. I don't want to get in trouble for accidentally punching one. Mr. Wolfist says all of September is booked for Ox. At this point, yeah, it's not just September. It's all of forever after that. I mean, I definitely want to keep up with my live streaming schedule after Starfield comes out. But when it does come out, I think I'll probably dedicate at least a month to just Starfield content exclusively before I start live streaming other games. But I'm going to need that time to gather footage just to be able to produce lore videos. Terry Williams says, how do you think your driving skills will translate to spaceflight? Lol. You know, that's actually another thing that I was thinking about and that I'm a little bit worried about. Usually when it comes to spaceflight, I'm not good at it and I don't like it. When I played Dead Space for the first time, I was actually blown away with how easy it was to control my character when I'm navigating in spaceflight. Now, that's outside of a vehicle, obviously, but I think the idea is the same. For some reason, whatever they did there, it was intuitive. I was able to easily control my character while doing a spacewalk. But in other games where I've had to control a vehicle in spaceflight, it's just been a nightmare. So I'm really hoping that their controls are easy for me to learn, that they're intuitive, that I understand them and grasp how they work pretty quickly. Because it looks like space combat and space flight is going to be a big part of this game. Okay, everybody. Well, we came what we were looking for. We got the Starfield Direct experience. I am really excited. I'm pumped. I'm hoping for the best. Cautiously optimistic is a great way to put it, but I'm going to err on the side of Optimistic more so than cautiously, I think. Anyway, thanks for coming, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Starfield Direct. It's always good to have the community in this chat for things like this, and I'm so glad we did this. Julian Z says, Ox, I didn't even think about about that. I thought procedure generation would be terrain site only, and planets would have set locations and names, but maybe not. Well, I mean, think about it. If you're going to a location with handcrafted lore, it's going to be on terrain. So if the terrain is procedurally generated, you're going to have the event as part of the procedural generation as well, right? Like if the terrain is procedurally generated and they've got this cliff system, but they had this event or this moon base, on the planet, and the cliff goes under it, then you're going to have something floating or hanging off the cliff. So they're not. It's not going to be able to work that way. If they're going to procedurally generate the content, the terrain of the planet, then they're going to have to procedurally generate the content they deliver onto the planet as well. It makes sense to put the event on top of the land after the land is generated, rather than to have a floating sphere with content generated on it, and then you generate the terrain around it, right? All right, I'm heading out. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I will see you tomorrow with another live stream. Bye-bye, everybody.